Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the joint webinar between ISACA Scottish Chapter and ISACA Lagos Chapter. We are delighted to have so many people on board, and we're really looking forward to a fantastic lecture today on 5 cyber controls you can audit today. Now, before we get going, I would really like to just introduce the presidents of our 2 chapters and just to have a little word on our ambitions and our work together. And I'd like to start by introducing Justice Osuji, the president of ISACA Lagos chapter.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the webinar today between the Nigerian ISACA Lagos chapter and Scottish chapter. It's a pleasure having you all on the webinar. I know we didn't give enough notice for this webinar, but we're also impressed by the number of attendees that registered for this webinar. So let's relax and listen in as we add value to our professional career. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justice. And I'd now like to introduce Tayeb Chowdhury, the president of ISACA Scottish chapter.
Welcome, everyone. And thank you very much for joining. I'm from both chapters who worked very hard to put this together. And hopefully this is not the last one. This is actually the first one where we're on a collaborative journey between the chapters. I look forward to seeing you all again in many different webinars that we put together for you. Hopefully you will be able to take away something useful from this webinar today. Once again, thank you all. I thank Justice for helping us put this together, and I also thank our presenter today, Finoflu. Please take it away from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tayeb. And now very much over to the person in the know. So I'd like to introduce Finoflu Okuderi. He is a director with Forvis Mazars in Lagos, and he will be delivering today's webinar on the topic of 5 cyber controls you can audit today. So, Finoflu, over to you, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me. I'm also trying to share my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen as well. Good afternoon and welcome to this session today. As I've been introduced, my name is Finoflu Okuderi, and I'll be taking us through this 2-hour session that will be focusing on 5 cyber controls that any auditor can actually review or execute immediately after this session. This session promises to be very, very practical, very engaging, and I will also need you to participate actively as we go on into the session. All right, today we'll be looking at why cyber audit is no longer optional, irrespective of whether you are an IT auditor, a financial auditor, as far as you work within either the second line of defense or the third line of defense. Why cyber audit? The audit or the review of all the cybersecurity initiatives that your organization has put in place, why it is no longer optional, but it must be done in the minimum on a quarterly basis, irrespective of the value chain where your organization plays. We'll be looking at the cyber threat landscape and what auditors should truly care about. And then we'll also talk about the auditor's mindset when it comes to cybersecurity. And we are emphasizing this and we understand that it's not only IT auditors that are or ISACA members that are on this call here today. We understand that operational auditor, financial auditors, risk auditors, and even cybersecurity auditors are right on this call But when reviewing cybersecurity initiatives, it must be noted that there is a significant or specific mindset that the auditor must have while executing these cybersecurity reviews. This we will dwell on. Then we will take a deeper dive into the specific 5 cyber controls that you can seamlessly audit today. Yes, there may be other cyber controls, right? But our focus will be on a particular set of 5 that I'll be explaining in details today, which anyone, any auditor, as far as you find yourself in that third line of defense, can seamlessly execute or seamlessly review. Then again, how we as auditors, how we can audit smarter and not harder. In the world where the workforce is not enough to fully execute the internal audit plan, right? How can you as the team lead, how as you as the head of internal audit or the head of internal control, how can you work smarter and even achieve a significant part of your audit plan? We will talk about that as well. Again, we'll talk about how to report these cyber audit findings, reporting it in a way that drive management actions. Are we together? So not just reporting the technical aspect alone, but reporting in terminologies that executive management can remember and can ensure those gaps are closed. Also, we'll have a case study where we'll discuss in details, as well as an action plan, exactly what you can do on Monday morning. Here in southwestern Nigeria, or across Nigeria, generally Lagos, there's public holiday tomorrow. So the next working day we are all looking forward to is Monday. And I'm saying that at the end of this session this evening, you will have armed yourself with 5 cyber controls that you will seamlessly be able to review early next week. Then we open up to questions and interactive discussion, question answer. Then we summarize, and by then we will have had some good knowledge to focus on. All right, let's go ahead. Why cyber audits? Audit of the cybersecurity initiatives, why it is no longer optional. We can say this from time to time, as we all know, that cyber attacks are consistently happening, whether in small scale as well as significant scales, as little as that WhatsApp hack to network downtime failure in your office, up to ransomware attack, credential compromise. Irrespective of the extent of that cyber attack, we can see it is no longer rare and it's no longer isolated. It can affect any organization, irrespective of the technical controls that you might have been put in place within your organization. And trust me, these various cyber incidents or cyber attack are, of course, business disrupting, costly, and in most cases, these hackers are looking forward to harvesting credentials, confidential data, even confidential information of your organization. So whether it's from simple examples as phishing, unauthorized access, or even ransomware attack, as I've stated, cybersecurity now is not just an IT concern. All stakeholders within the organization are now concerned about cybersecurity and how the organization can respond, not just react, respond swiftly to any attack, because everyone knows that any organization can be a target of any attack. Now, here is the reality. As auditors within organization, we must move away from compliance tick box to more of ensuring actual security. And we can't leave this alone with the IT guys or to the cybersecurity team or to the SOC team, depending on the organization. We can't leave it alone to them. We are moving away from the era of just ticking check boxes or ensuring that, oh, I've gotten this new certification, I've gotten this for example, this SOC report from a third party, and there is some level of confidence. But indeed, those policies, as well as those documentation, are they providing the actual security that you will need to provide assurance for in your organization? So I'm saying again, what will you gain from this session this evening? A clear understanding of key cyber risks that truly matter today. Again, practical ways that you can audit 5 critical controls immediately. And they are controls that, irrespective of your background, irrespective of whether you are an internal auditor, you do not have IT experience, or yes, you're an IT auditor, you will still be able to execute these reviews seamlessly. And most importantly, a mindset shift from just general compliance checkbox to more risk-based, impactful cyber auditing. That is the goal of this session. All right, come along with me. Let's move closer and let's move faster in this session. All right, let's take an overview of the cyber threat landscape, picking on specific examples that are common irrespective of the organization, irrespective of the core line of business. So for some, for example, in financial services, the kind of cyber risk they are prone to is different from those, for example, in manufacturing. It's different from those, for example, in an educational institution. And it's also different from the kind of cyber attack being expected in a healthcare facility. That being said, let's take a look at the cyber threat landscape and what we as auditors, right, as control experts, as IT auditors and cybersecurity specialists, what we should truly care about. First, we are all aware of phishing and social engineering, where the bad actor or the attacker tries to exploit human behavior through deception and whether through email, messages, call, to gain access to systems, where they focus on that deception and that quick turnaround time. Oh, click on this link now so you don't lose your account. Provide these details so that your account will not be truncated. Deception plus fear plus a short time for requesting the user to act as soon as possible. Phishing and social engineering, in most cases, will always bypass all the technical controls or some of the technical controls that IT or the security function has put in place. Hence the reason while user awareness controls, user awareness session, consistent ones, cannot be overemphasized. Let's take a look at ransomware attack. And yes, some of us are familiar with it, but I want to look at it from a more simplified approach. A ransomware attack is a kind of cyber attack where a malicious software, which in most cases is a malware, encrypts an organization's files, systems, and databases, making them totally inaccessible. Then after that, the attacker demands a ransom payment, most cases in cryptocurrency, in exchange for the decryption key, or even to prevent that stolen data from being published on the dark web, as an example. So for example, let's look at the typical life cycle of a ransomware attack. The initial access, when attackers gain entry to either a phishing mail, just as I've said, stolen credentials, unpatched vulnerabilities, or even remote desktop protocol. These days where a lot is working remotely and you're requesting IT to connect remotely to your system, to your network. Yes, a lot of organizations claim we have a VPN, we have firewalls that have been put in place, but these bad actors, these attackers, in some cases, go through remote desktop exposure to actually connect to their to the users they really want to attack. After they are able to gain access, there's what we call privilege escalation. The attacker obtains high-level access, and then lateral movement starts. The attacker now moves around the total network, identifying critical servers, databases, backup system, and also now starts to encrypt data, steal confidential data, whether it's intellectual property, employee data, financial records, or even customer information. After exfiltrating these data, that's when the true encryption now starts. Then they demand for a ransom. In most cases, they ask for that ransom in cryptocurrency, where they will now say, if you pay the ransom, they will give you a decryption key. And we've even seen cases where even after some organization paid the ransom, their data was still disclosed on the dark web. The business impact is enormous. But let's move to credential compromise. I'm focusing on specific examples that truly can affect any organization. For credential compromise, it can be cases of weak passwords that unauthorized individuals uses the legitimate user credentials. So whether it's username, a password, a PIN, a token, or even authentication keys to gain access to system applications or network or data of an institution. Insider threats. Now, there are organizations where even those that have been empowered to be administrators, IT subject matter experts, because they have been in the organization for a while and become disgruntled, right? They now sabotage the system that they are even expected to protect. And again, poor access governance, especially access rights across different applications, Active Directory, databases, systems, network, as the case may be, because most breaches occur because users have more access than they are actually expected to have based on their role and responsibilities within the organization. We've made specific examples of some of these cyber attacks, right? But the real question is, why does this matter? Why does having the knowledge of these various attacks, why does it matter to us as auditors? These threats, sincerely, they are no longer abstract. They are a direct result from control weaknesses that auditors can identify and test. So yes, the focus should not just be on the threat, but on what control failed and why. All right, let's come along. Now, these threats, how exactly can we map them to control failures as auditors? Let's come closer. How can we, as auditors, how can we map these various cyber attacks or cyber incidents to control failures within an organization or within any context? Now, phishing, for example, is an end result of either weak security awareness or inadequate or even inexistent cybersecurity awareness. I know different organizations might have put in place different cybersecurity awareness plans, but the real point is, how effective are these cybersecurity awareness sessions that have been made available? Again, email controls. Ransomware attack. What is the control failure? Poor backup and also inadequate patch management. We'll talk more about patch management very soon. Credential compromise. In most cases, the lack of multi-factor authentication and weak access controls is actually the root cause of credential compromise. Insider threats, in most cases, perhaps there are inadequate monitoring or even access restrictions from these various users, especially some that are administrators. Their activities are not reviewed, are not monitored, and these access are not provided to them on a need to know and on a need to use basis. So as auditors, as we within the third line of defense, how are we expected to connect the dots between these threats as well as the control failures? So the focus for us should not stop at identifying threats. The real work is to trace each threat back to the specific control weaknesses and assess whether these controls are properly designed and operating effectively. All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on. Now, the auditor's mindset in cybersecurity. Because as auditors, working within the cybersecurity value chain, you must have the mindset of an attacker, right? Because if you have that mindset, that is when you can double check what could go wrong. Having that attacker's mindset, you can know how to plug the holes and how to identify the control failures even when it occurs. We as auditors must move beyond just checklist auditing. We must move from just looking at whether policies and procedures exist. We know that, yes, in IT governance, that is the bedrock of our reviews. Obtaining if a documentation, that is the policy or the procedure for that particular IT control or cybersecurity control, if it exists. But trust me, that is just one step in about 5 steps that we as auditors must take. And in cybersecurity, as I said, that focusing on just checklists or focusing on just policies and procedures is not sufficient. We must actually assess whether these IT controls that have been put in place are operating effectively in practice. So we must be thinking in terms of the risk as well as the exposure of the organization, and most importantly, the impact on the organization as a whole. The impact on the brand, the impact on the finances, and the impact especially when it comes to downtimes. Especially for organizations within the financial services value chain that cannot afford any undue downtime on their entire IT infrastructure. So in cybersecurity auditing, we are shifting from is the control documented, but we are asking questions, real questions like what could go wrong here? How could this control, right, that the IT have told you is in existence, how could this control fail, right? And then again, what will be the business impact if this control truly failed? What will be the impact on us as an organization? What will be the impact on our customers? What will be the impact on us as staff? What will be the impact on our brand as a whole? So yes, this mind shift must help auditors to focus on not on real operational and business risk, not just compliance requirements and just checklists. So again, as I stated, we as auditors must understand the attacker's perspective, right? We must know how the attacker is thinking, how they are thinking of how to exploit any weaknesses. Weaknesses whether in excessive privileges, weak passwords, or even unpatched systems, right? This kind of mindset now strengthens our ability to identify those high-risk gaps even before they occur. And I've put a simple framework here, the control risk test evidence insight framework, where in the control, you are asking questions like what security measures actually exist, right? What controls, what security measures has been put in place, has been defined. The risk is saying, what threats does this particular control, what threat does it address? Then to you as the auditor, how will you verify the effectiveness of that security measure or of that IT control? Again, what evidence will support your own conclusion, right? And again, the insight, what business risk or improvement opportunity will be identified for the business to put in place immediately. Executive management at any level, whether management or the board, must understand that cybersecurity risk, that threat is posing to the organization, and put in place the improvement opportunity or the improvement plan on how to reduce the impact of that risk should it crystallize at any point. All right, let's move closer and a little faster. Now, the very first cyber security control we want to look at today is the user access management. We'll talk about identity and access control. All right, let's take a deeper dive into user access management, where we look at identity and access controls across different platforms, starting from the Active Directory, which is the gateway into your entire IT environment, then to the applications, the operating systems, the database, and the network, and other ancillary tools within your IT value chain. Why does this user access control, why does it matter? User access management is one of the most critical cybersecurity controls because it determines who, what, and how users can have access into an IT environment. So we are talking about access to either systems, access to data, or even more sensitive business functions. So we are not just talking about just the IT environment or the IT value chain alone. How about even the physical business premises? And again, weak access controls actually increases the risk of unauthorized access, privilege abuse, and even data breaches. All right, now let's look at key risk that is associated with weak access management. When there are weak controls, what risk can actually crystallize? First, unauthorized access to critical IT infrastructure. And when there is that unauthorized access, sensitive information can be carted away with. Those customer data, those customer balances, that regulatory report, those confidential information can be carted away with from that attacker. Again, excessive privileges allowing users to perform unnecessary or even high-risk activities. If the access has been hijacked, for example, that implies that an ordinary user can perform administrative rights, can even edit the audit trail. Who knows? Again, in situations where there are shared accounts, right, it reduces accountability as well as traceability. Those are core risks when it comes to weak access management. Now, you as the auditor, you are reviewing user access management. What are the things that you should look out for before we talk about the core audit procedures? Now, you need to take a closer look at unnecessary administrative or anyone that has an administrative or a privileged access. You must take a closer look at such profiles. Again, dormant accounts, profile of users that have exited the organization in the last 6 months to 1 year, right? And those dormant accounts, are they still active? What kind of password security controls are being embedded across user access on the different platforms? Again, shared and generic users accounts with no clear ownership. When you see a generic or a shared user profile, you are asking more questions. You are drilling down. You want to get more information. Again, if there is no periodic access reviews or approvals of to either for users to be created or users to be modified, if there are no approvals, not just approvals, but documented approvals. So what are the core audit procedures? It's good to note that these presentation slides will also be shared with us after this session, right? So that we can make references to them while we are carrying out these various audit engagements. Because what is critical for us at the end of this session is to be able to carry out these reviews ourselves. First, you obtain the complete user access listing from those various platforms. So, for example, it is Peachtree, it is SAP, it is Sage, whatever the core financial application you want to review, or even if it is that same Active Directory. And now, an auditor is thinking, I don't even have Active Directory in my organization. It's just a small organization with less than 50 staff. Yes, you can still focus on the network, focus on the core financial application and other core applications within your environment based on the risk or the impact of that application on your core business. It helps you to identify which applications are top priority to you for your review. And then again, you request for the HR records, list of all staff, list of joiners, leavers, as well as movers within that particular period. You are also defining which period am I reviewing based on your approach. Maybe you are reviewing for a period of 6 months or just a particular quarter, right? Since you are an internal auditor, then you want to take a look. Then you do a significant comparison, as simple as a VLOOKUP of that list of user access on that application, list of user access on Active Directory against the staff lists, especially the active staff list of the current staff members within the organization as at that particular date. Again, we can't overemphasize those privileged access, those admin profiles on that application. You are reviewing how new users are added, if there are documented approvals, and when staff exits from the organization, how promptly are their access rights revoked from the various platforms. You also want to check when such staff are going on maternity leave, on annual leave, how proactively does the security team, the IT team communicate with HR to ensure those profiles are promptly deleted or revoked. Those rights are revoked so that when they are back, the access can be restored. All right, moving on. What are the quick wins for this particular audit test? After you've selected a sample, now, depending on this sampling methodology, or you want to carry out 100% test, right? Examples of common red flags that you will see in this user access review: privileged accounts that were not reviewed periodically, former employees that are still having active access 1 month, 2 months after they've exited the organization, no documented approval for all access requests, even when users redeploy from one unit to another, or they are promoted from one grade to another higher grade. And again, users that have conflicting or excessive access privileges. Those IT administrators that are stating that, oh, yes, I am the administrator. You ask more striking questions. What do you use this profile for? How often do you use it? Right? Which some will say, oh, we even have dual passwords for this. Who and who has the 2 legs to these passwords? Now, tools and some techniques. Yes, you get reports. IT can pull reports from the Active Directory from you, or from the Azure AD reports, the HR system to system reconciliation analysis, and then some, as I said, VLOOKUP, Excel access-based access reviews, and also filtering on these various lists. We want to pause and have a knowledge check. Guy, please, you can project the knowledge check. The knowledge check is just to ensure that we are following. Please, let's come into the screen. Let's focus on the screen. And there is a question. What is the primary risk of excessive privileged access? Please, let's pick which option here resonates with us. Please, this session is going to be very interactive. We are going to be engaging. Please come to these polls and quizzes that has been raised, and let's look at it together. All right, let's choose which option resonates best with us. What is the primary risk of excessive privileged access? Reduce system maintenance, unauthorized access and privilege abuse, increase phishing awareness, or improve accountability? All right, 3 more seconds. Can we have the result of the poll, please? Okay. Wow. 97% out of 72% of the 72 people responded to this, which is 97%. And we all agree with the fact that the primary risk of excessive access privileges is unauthorized activities and privilege abuse. All right, that's great. Let's move ahead. Okay, I think we have another poll. All right, let's do this together. Why are dormant accounts, dormant profiles considered as high risk? Please, everyone, we have over 100 people on this call. Please, I want you to engage in this knowledge check. It's just a way to check that we are following. They are not ISACA questions at all. So it's not confusing. It's straightforward just to test our knowledge. All right. Why are dormant accounts considered high risk? Why? Dormant account. All right. 2 more seconds to close the votes. Please read the options. Let me pause so that we can read the options, please. All right, let's have the votes. Okay. Now, 82 of us out of 128. Yes, I am happy we are engaging. I've stated that, yes, these dormant accounts are considered high risk because of what? They may be exploited without detection, right? Because they are dormant. They are not currently in use. That is why some organizations, when some profiles are not in use for 30 days, the profile automatically disables itself. So it's not as if it's still active, people can still use it. No, it automatically disables and dissolves itself. All right, thank you, guys, for that. Let's move ahead. I love the energy. I love the participation. Let us keep this up as we move ahead. All right, let's talk about the next control, which is multi-factor authentication. A lot of organizations now, especially those within the financial services, and even not just financial services alone, require a multi-factor authentication control to log in not just into the system, but into core applications within the organization. All right, let's look at why multi-factor authentication, why it is important as a cybersecurity controls. Yes, password alone are no longer sufficient to protect organization systems. So we're not just talking about that your laptop or logging in into a core financial application or into other ancillary applications. We are talking about other gateways into the IT infrastructure. So attackers frequently obtain credentials through phishing. We can't overemphasize that. Or even credential stuffing, or that lateral movement within the environment, that reconnaissance. Or better still, there are instances where passwords are reused and they are easily and seamlessly harvested. But multi-factor authentication, as we all know, adds that additional layer. So the user is logging in with what he knows, what he has, and what he or she is. So that is password, pins, tokens, as well as perhaps the iris, or also the thumbprint. Those are other levels of authentication. So let's talk about two key risks that can crystallize without in situations where multi-factor authentication is not enabled. Unauthorized access through stolen and compromised credentials become seamless. And then again, high likelihood of privileged account compromise is very common. So what exactly are you looking for as an auditor when it comes to multi-factor authentication? That email platform, that VPN access, that remote access solution, that core financial application, and other critical application are multi-factor authentication enabled on these critical systems, right? And then again, what is the consistency of this multi-factor authentication enforcement across different users and different departments? Is it across the entire organization, or just for those in specific departments, or a particular department is exempted, or there are some users that bypass this multi-factor authentication? And why should they even bypass it in the first instance? What are the core audit procedures? First, you must review the multi-factor configuration settings and ensure that it's the policies which is enforcing this multi-factor authentication goes across the entire IT landscape. The IT person or the security person can provide these configuration settings for you, and you benchmark it with best practices. Then again, you can go a further step by taking specific samples and sit with one or two users across those high-risk departments and just request, oh, log into your system and let me see how you log in, not just into the system, but into those core applications of your organization. And also, you are verifying whether this multi-factor authentication policy is mandatory or optional for any department. So where are the quick wins, as well as the common red flags? A lot of time, legacy systems, they will tell you, we don't use it for posting again. We don't use it for our financial transaction, but we go pull some records on it. Or it's no longer in the live environment, but we just speak information from it once in a while. So the reason is those legacy systems, why are they excluded from that MFA coverage, right? Are we together? Then even in situations where there are failed authentication attempts of the MFA, are they being logged? Those failed authentication attempts, are they being logged? Are they being monitored? Now, it can't be overemphasized that MFA, multi-factor authentication, is one of the high-risk, highest impact security controls that organizations can implement. In such cases that credentials may be compromised, multi-factor authentication significantly reduces the likelihood of a successful unauthorized access, because it's only if that kind of situation happens when such users is under duress. So I'm not ruling out the fact that even with multi-factor authentication, unauthorized access can still happen. Yes, it can. But perhaps it was a compromised system where, for example, the person that is expected to protect the organization, as I said, is under duress or is part of that particular gang executing such a cyber attack. All right, let's move ahead. Please, let's launch the next knowledge check. I need to be sure that you're following me. I need to be sure you are engaging very much during this session. All right, let's read together. What is the main security benefit of multi-factor authentication? All the options here can be one benefit, can be some benefits, but I'm talking of the main security benefit of multi-factor authentication. All right, let's read the options. Let's read the options. This should not confuse you. It's not an ISACA question that peradventure too may look similar, but it's we want to close the votes. Let's quickly vote. Let's vote. Let's vote. Let's have the answers, please. All right. It appears the number of people that are voting are reducing while we have an increased number of participants. Please let us engage. All right. The main security benefit of multi-factor authentication, it reduces the dependencies on passwords alone. All right. Yes, it reduces the dependencies on password. Just one model of login, it reduces the dependency on that, such that even if that password is compromised, there is that second level security protocol that protects the entity. All right, let's move ahead. Next knowledge check, please. All right. All right. Let's read this together. Let's read this together. Please, let's come together. I want us to please, let's participate the more. Please, please, please. We're expected to learn a lot and be able to carry out reviews from what we are learning this evening. All right. What accounts should be prioritized for multi-factor enforcement? Which accounts should be prioritized for multi-factor authentication? All right, let's keep the answers coming. Let's keep the answers coming. Let's keep the answers coming. All right, we're about to shut down the quiz, the poll. Let's keep it coming. Thank you. Thank you. Let's read the question, please, as well as the options. Thank you. All right. Okay, thank you. We have more participants now. Maybe we leave it a little, just slightly a little longer. All right. Which accounts should be prioritized for multi-factor authentication? Privileged and high-risk user accounts, yes, should be prioritized, especially those admin privileges, those admin accounts. Even if some are excluded or some profiles do not have, those admin or high-risk user profiles or user accounts must have multi-factor authentication. All right, let's move forward. Let's move forward to the control 3, which has to do with patch and vulnerability management. This is one aspect that we as auditors must always focus on. Now, patches are software updates released by vendors to fix known issues, whether in operating systems, applications, database, firmware, and network devices. So, and why is this, the updates of these patches, these software updates, why are they important? To help reduce incidents of cybersecurity vulnerabilities, also to prevent issues like software bugs and defects. Also, implementing patches or software updates also helps to improve performance issues and also enhancement, and also helps eradicate any form of compliance related fixes. So why does patch and vulnerability management, why does it truly matter? Attackers these days, they will exploit known vulnerabilities, whether on your operating systems, application, or network devices. Those firewall tools, those network tools that are within your IT environment. So when these security patches or these software updates are delayed or some vulnerabilities remain unresolved, your organization, your IT environment become exposed or to preventable cyber attacks. And why are these patches important? Because unpatched systems are one of the most common entry points for cyber attacks. Attackers, as we always know, they carry out reconnaissance, gathering different information across the internet and even on people's networks, right? And then running outdated rather, or unpatched software opens the organization up to these vulnerabilities. So what are the key risks that are associated with weak patch management? Exploitation of known system weaknesses. That increased likelihood of a ransomware or malware infections, right? And then, of course, when the system is down, that operational disruption, right? That operational downtime that is caused by unpatched critical systems. So, as an auditor, what are you looking for when you are reviewing patch and vulnerability management? What exactly are you looking out for? Now, there is expected to be a formal patch management process or a schedule. Is that in existence? The next question is the security team or the IT team, whatever team is in charge of it? Because yes, in larger organization, IT is segregated into different specific functions, but there is a subunit that is saddled with this responsibility. Then you are asking, what is the frequency of this patch deployment? Monthly, quarterly, or ad hoc as the need arises, or as the OEM, or better still, the manufacturer releases these new patches across these various devices. What are the core audit procedure? As I've stated, there must be a patch management policy, as well as the recent patch deployment report. So whatever system that, or whatever tool that is being used to deploy these patches, some organizations use Qualys patch management, some use Microsoft Intune. Irrespective of the automated patch deployment tool that is being used, there must be a patch deployment report that states what's the percentage of completion of the patch across the various devices on the network or within the environment. Then you are also asking for the result of the vulnerability assessment scan. Now, when this scan is done, are there unresolved critical issues? What are still the open exceptions or the open gaps in that vulnerability assessment and penetration testing reports? Then you are asking whether the critical systems are prioritized. That core banking application, the database of that core financial application, are they prioritized when it comes to patches and patch development? This also may go for pushing of antivirus across the network, antivirus updates. This also goes in line with it. So patch, antivirus, they must be pushed and ensure that they are actually patched to ensure that prioritized system that perhaps is facing internet or contains sensitive confidential data are prioritized during these patching processes. All right. What are the red flags that you, as the IT auditor, you are looking out for? A lot of us that are auditors, perhaps financial auditors on this call, we know the essence of a fixed asset register. But the real question is, does the IT department maintain a complete IT asset inventory? Because you cannot patch what you don't know that exists, right? So that your IT asset inventory helps you to identify all IT assets that are within your IT landscape, so that you can actually ensure that there is full coverage of the patch. So in cases where there's no IT asset inventory, it's a red flag, or an incomplete IT asset inventory. How can you test that? A new staff that just resumed last month, is his or her own device, his laptop, is it configured? Is it present on that IT asset inventory? So yes, you've obtained it, but you're asking yourself, How do you ensure that this list is complete? It totally contains all the IT assets within the IT environment. All right, again, vulnerability VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing reports. Yes, some vulnerability assessments are carried, or vulnerability scans are carried out in-house. But in organizations such as financial services, within the financial services landscape, regulators even require that some, on a half-yearly basis, that an independent consultant must assist in executing or carrying out a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing across your entire IT environment. The real question you are looking for is, as the auditor, that is a red flag. Were VAPT done by an external consultant? Yes, it has been done. Good confidence. But the next question is, the gaps that have been identified, have they been remediated? That is what you are asking and engaging the IT or the security person, as the case may be. So these various cyber incidents actually exploit vulnerabilities that were already known or that were even patchable but were not patched as at when due. So it is required that IT or the security team proactively prioritized patching and vulnerability management to prevent cyber attack from crystallizing within the environment. All right, let's have the next knowledge check, please. All right. Let's come together. Let's read the question. I believe you are learning something today, and I believe you are noting the core cyber controls that is expected that you can actually review on Monday. We've talked about user access management. We've talked about patch management. We've also talked about multi-factor authentication. All right. Why are unpatched systems considered high risk? Why are unpatched systems? Why are they considered high risk? Please, let's read the answers together. All right, keep the answers coming. Keep the answers coming. We want more people to vote. That's why we are a little bit more patient. We want more people to vote. We will need to see that you are truly engaging and you are truly learning. All right, we're about to end the poll now. Please, I encourage us to check the options. All right, let's have the responses. Okay, thank you. We have about 83 people this time around. Thank you so much for engaging. I don't take this lightly. This engagement is also encouraging me that you're participating actively in the session. All right, unpatched systems are considered high risk. Why? Because they may contain exploitable known vulnerabilities. Because these hackers, these guys on the dark web, these vulnerabilities are actually well known, right? And the manufacturer, the OEM, has made the patches available. It's just for us, right, the IT guys, the security guys, to ensure that these patches are deployed across the critical systems or the devices that requires this patch. All right, let's move ahead to the next knowledge check, please. Let's move ahead. We may need to move a little bit faster. We are 1 hour in, and I believe we are doing well with time, considering the total body of knowledge we want to cover. All right, let's read this together. Why should auditors focus? What should auditors focus on when reviewing vulnerability reports? What should auditors, you and I, right? What should we focus on when reviewing vulnerability reports? All right, let's keep the answers running. Please, I'm encouraging you. Please, let's engage. Let's engage. We have over 80 people engaging. I want close to 100 or even more engaged in these knowledge checks. Thank you. Thank you. What should you, as the auditor, they've given you that VAPT report, right, by that external consultant. What are you focusing on? All right. All right. What exactly are you focusing on so that you can bring it to management's knowledge to ensure that an immediate action is executed on those key things? All right. Thank you. Let's see the options. Okay. We have 80 people. All right. We have 80 people. What is the most important thing? Yes, number of employees using the systems, not so necessarily, but yes, the aging unresolved critical vulnerabilities. Because in most cases, some of these external consultants that carry out this VAPT, if it is the same consultant that have carried out for the first half of the year, coming back to do the second half of the year around December, or depending on when the financial year of the organization is, they want to do a status report of the previous gaps, if they have fully been closed, if the previous exceptions have been fully remediated. So when some exceptions or critical vulnerabilities are left unresolved, the one for last year or 2 years ago are still unresolved, that requires significant escalation to management. What could be going on? What could be going on here? So the number of unresolved critical vulnerabilities is one major thing that auditors should look out for when we are reviewing this VAPT report. Please, if you're learning something, please come to the chat box and give some thumbs up or give some yes. I really want to be sure that I'm communicating and you are learning something in this session today. If the chat box is open to you, just give a thumbs up or a yes to ensure that, yes, to show that you are learning in this session and it is making sense and it's not seemingly strange. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. I see one or two comments there. Thank you. Thank you. Now let's talk about the fourth one, backup and recovery. Backup and recovery, because it is actually the resilience control against malware. All right. We all know backups. We all know that, yes, the organization or the IT team is expected to have a backup schedule. Or some will tell you it's automated backup. It goes directly to the cloud. It happens at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m. in the morning, right? It is not even, you don't require any manual or human intervention. Yes, fantastic. And they are even telling you, oh, we've done our business impact analysis. We have our RTO and our RPO. We've set everything. We know what is critical. We know how we do our backup, the type of backups that we take. They tell you a lot, right? They will tell you, yes, we take, even for some, we take the tapes to the disaster recovery site. They tell you a lot, right? But in backup and recovery, what truly matters is that restoration, that testing of those backups. So yes, when it comes to, oh, has the backup been taken, there is most likely a yes or a tick. They will even show you the evidence, right? But the real question is, when it comes to testing, restoration of these backups. Now, key risk that you look out for when we have weak backup practices: inability to recover operation after an incident, whether a simple incident or even a ransomware, which of course, if you cannot restore or recover operations based on your RPO and your RTO recovery time objective and recovery point objective, the extended downtime causes significant business disruption. I would say, God forbid that your organization is now being dragged on X, Twitter, former Twitter, right? Especially when there are downtimes on different platforms, especially within the financial services, banking and fintechs, to be precise. Also, other associated risks are financial, legal, or reputational impact from failed recovery efforts. So what are you looking for as the auditor when it comes to backup and recovery? Now, you want to, you are double checking what is documented in the policy, in the backup policy, and how it is being operated. the frequency, the coverage across critical systems, right? Again, even the evidence, that is it, evidence of periodic restoration tests. We've done a restoration test. Is there a report to back up that restoration? As we say in audit, what is not documented is not done. Yes, you have a restoration on 2nd of July after 30th June, right? 30th June is just right. It's just around the corner. You've done restoration on the 2nd or the 5th of July, right? But the point is, where is the report of this restoration test? The report serves as one of the evidences. Where are the minutes of meeting to show that, yes, we consolidated all initiatives of the restoration? Where are they documented? Then again, they clearly defined backup retention. That is it. It's not just about taking the backups. What are the retention policies within your organization as it has to do with your own industry sector? Because in some sector, the backup retention or number of years differs based on the industry as well as what your regulator, how long your regulator requires you to keep some information. All right. Moving ahead, what are the core audit procedures? Yes, a lot of us are used to carrying out reviews on backup, but my focus is still on that restoration and recovery. Because we've seen instances, yes, I have seen instances where, yes, backups were taken and it's time to do restoration. It has been restored and say, okay, open it up, let us see, and we are seeing 01010101. The files are corrupted. So if it was now an incident that has happened and you need that backup that has been taken and they were never tested, the day you need it, it becomes unavailable or better still, unusable. So you must also check as part of your audit procedures whether critical applications, databases, operating systems are included not just in the backup, but also in the restoration tests. That is very critical, right? And even if the access to the backups are restricted to only authorized users, such as the administrators in IT, it's not even open to everyone in IT. Yeah, it's that key people that have been designated to execute or to support the backup, the restoration, and the testing processes. All right. Let's look at what could be common red flags when it comes to backup and restoration as well as recovery. Okay, now we have cases where backups existed, but they have never been tested. Backups exist, but what? They were never tested. Backup failures, yes, in some cases, that automated backup that they claim, that full backup, when it is being run, in some cases they fail because they are not monitored or they are not being resolved promptly. And then on some cases, backups are stored within the same network as the production system. The essence of the backup is to ensure that the same kind of incident, if it attacks the production, that same kind of incident should not affect your backup. That is why in most cases, even if it's automated, it is replicating directly to the disaster recovery site. And even, yes, that disaster recovery site, when last was a review done on the site? We all say, oh, it's a warm site or even it's a hot site. When last did we go live from that disaster recovery site? That is another key thing that we as auditors must look out for. That disaster recovery site that they say they have, right? Or that storage that they have with some names in Nigeria here, or Rack Center, some other institutions like that. Did you as the auditor visit those locations to see all the various initiatives around the backup, ensuring that whether it's a physical incident, a cybersecurity incident that affects the production, area must not affect your disaster recovery or your backup location. And again, if if recovery objectives and also restoration procedures are not documented, these are flags that you as an IT auditor or as an auditor can simply pick up. All right, practical insight for auditors. Yes, we must not assume that backups are working, right? I know that we have that professional skepticism as auditors. We can't assume that the backups are working. Yes, but a lot of organizations, even management and IT, assumes the backup are working until a real incident happens. Restoration tests may not be carried out, and which will confirm whether the backup really can stand the test of the resilience when it is needed. And we as auditors must move away from that false assurance. We must test it. We must obtain those documentary evidence to give assurance to executive management that the restoration is available, is working, and can be utilized seamlessly when, should in case an attack happens within the organization. All right, time for another knowledge check on backup restoration and recovery. I just need to be sure that you are engaging. I just need to be sure you are following me. All right, let's read this together. Let's read it together. What is the main objective of backup and recovery controls? What is the main objective? So all of this, some of these can be objectives, right? But I'm asking the main objective. This is also looking like an ISACA question, right? The main objective. Okay, let's read the options. Don't rush in just picking options. Let's pick the main objective. Let's read the options. Let's read the options. Please, some people have not even picked any option, right? Please, let's do this together. Let us learn together. All right, let's come along. Let's come along. Let's come along. We are doing very well with time. We will have enough time to open up for question and answer. All right, I think we should pull this off and let's see the how the voting went. Okay, we have 81 people that responded to this. Thank you so much. I appreciate the consistent engagement. Okay, main objective of backup and recovery controls. Ensuring systems and data can be restored. That is the joy. That is the true essence of any backup and recovery control. That should, in case that incident finally crystallizes, right, are we able to restore not just systems, but the data within it? So that at the end of the day, we restore the system and the data is showing 01000101 and everything is corrupted. Yes, that is the true essence, the objective of carrying out that backup and recovery control. All right, next knowledge check, please. Let's launch the next poll. Okay. Why is restore testing, restoration tests, why is it important? Why is restoration testing? Why is it very important? Okay. All right. Let's give people more chance to look at this options. Why is the restoration testing? Why do we need to restore? Why do we need to test what we have backed up? Why? Okay. 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 All right. Let's look at how we've done. I believe we've voted. Let's look at how we've done. All right. Some people, why are we reducing? Was the time short? Okay. Yes. We are testing what has been, we are restoring and testing the backups that have been kept because it helps to confirm whether these backups are actually reusable during the recovery process. Your testing of your backups does not eliminate ransomware attacks. Definitely not. It does not eliminate it. It does not replace your incident response time. And of course, it does not improve password security. Thank you so much, everyone, for engaging. Let's look at the next control, which is security awareness. We've realized that a lot of cybersecurity awareness these days are just theoretical, right? There are no practical instances added to those cybersecurity awareness. No phishing simulation, no practical identifying of what a phishing mail can look like. How you can over on the header of the email to identify if the email is still showing whether the email is being masked or something. So it's not just the IT or the security team that should have this awareness. It's not just the tech team, right, that should know when an antivirus has not been updated. Every user of your devices, every user of your laptop within your IT environment must be able to identify when that antivirus has not been updated. Or do they know who to call, who to send screenshots to, how to eliminate their own system from the network when a cyber attack happens? This is the value of practical simulation or practical cybersecurity awareness across organizations. Some people just do it just to tick the box. Some even tie it to appraisals. But the real point is the knowledge that is expected to be gained, not just forcing people to go through some slides so that they can do some quizzes at the end, and that is the end of that cybersecurity awareness. All right, so let's just look at why security awareness matters. Now, those technology controls, those technical controls alone can no longer prevent every type of attack. So irrespective of the kind of firewall you've put in place, the kind of other technical controls, or the kind of, oh, we have our antivirus updated, our firewall passwords are revised and reviewed on a bi-weekly basis, employees still remain the weakest link when it comes to security. Why? They are the most targeted. They are simply and easily exploited by these various attack vectors, especially when it comes to social engineering, especially the one, like for example, phishing and smishing that is targeted at executive management or those within a particular function. Is targeted to them, curated for them specially. But effective security awareness programs that has practical implementation helps to build a workforce that not just only recognize the attack, but can avoid it, right? And also report any suspicious activity. So your cybersecurity awareness is not effective until the users of your infrastructure or the users within your IT landscape can, one, recognize that suspicious activity. When you recognize it, of course, you can avoid it, right? And you are not clicking on it, or you're not lured, or you're not deceived into it. And you can also do what? Report. Do they have the number of IT service desk? Do they have the right email address that they can take that screenshot and share it with automatically? Or they are just forwarding the email? By the time you forward the email, the attacker is seeing the email of the next IT person or the next staff, or you now copy the group head. We've seen a lot in this. All right, what are the key risks associated with poor security awareness? We can't overemphasize that accidental disclosure of sensitive information, delayed detection and reporting of these cyber incidents, because already there has been, the person has clicked on the phishing mail, there's already lateral movement within your network database operating system sniffing around. And there is that increased susceptibility, easy to social engineering attacks. So what you as the auditor, right? What exactly are you looking for? Now, you're looking at the frequency on the coverage of that cybersecurity awareness training program. What does it cover? How often is it? Is it monthly? Is it quarterly? Or is it just once a year? Or it is not even done at all? Now, we move a little bit technical. Are there evidences of phishing simulation exercises which users were they fully participated in? What is the report of that phishing simulation exercise? And then again, from that phishing simulation exercise, what is the trends of the results? What inference can IT, can control, decipher from the test of that phishing simulation exercises? All right, what are your audit procedures as an auditor? You'll review the security awareness training programs and how they are completed. Oh, an awareness session is raised for over 5,000 staff. Less than 2,000 attempted the security awareness training. The real question is why? How are we prioritizing our cybersecurity awareness within the organization? Do we even have executive management backing? Are there sanctions for people that are not participating in these cybersecurity awareness sessions? So you must analyze the phishing simulation report and then the user response matrix. Then for those that fall prey for this phishing simulation, what are the kinds of training that was given to them? Or it is just documented and kept? What the result of that phishing simulation test, what was it used for? What were the next steps? And again, the various incident reporting procedures, how are they communicated to all staff? When you ask, oh, if you have an attack on your system, you can ask randomly across different departments, what is the email address you are expected to communicate it to? Who are you expected to call? What is the IP address of that department that will help you resolve it? Those are key questions that you can sample within the entire organization. Okay. Red flags, red flags, red flags. No formal security awareness in place. Right. Training only conducted only once without continuous reinforcement. That's why cybersecurity awareness sessions cannot be once in a year. Are we together? Then high phishing failure rates, no remediation actions. And in cases that where we have employees don't even know which email to send that screenshot to. They don't even know how to check if their antivirus has been updated. They don't even know how to decipher a suspicious activity on their laptop. They didn't request for a remote desktop and someone connected to their laptop, they can't not even identify it, whether it's a legitimate connection or an illegitimate connection. How they can easily and seamlessly remove themselves from the network. This knowledge is each employee is expected to have this knowledge irrespective of their departments. Auditors, you also must have this knowledge, not just this kind of significant knowledge residing with the IT or security team alone. All right, let's go ahead. We have a knowledge check here. Guy, let's put up the poll for us. Let's read it together. We are doing well with time. We are doing well with time. I believe we are learning. I'm sure of that we are learning a whole lot. Okay, why are phishing simulations valuable to organization? Please, we are 132. Let's have some increase in the engagement. Thank you, because as you're engaging the questions, you are also encouraging me that yes, you are learning and you're gaining from this session. All right, why are phishing simulations valuable? So we have moved one step further from just that theory awareness. We have moved it to simulation, right? Yes, the mail was sent internally, but the day the email from a real attacker comes into your environment, irrespective of whatever rules you have put on your firewalls or your filtering tools, it can still bypass it. Email addresses of key executive management can be spoofed. and it can be used to send to all staff. And they will think, oh, the ED has sent a mail, the group head has sent a mail. Let me quickly react to it. Let me open it. Let me click on the link. So why is that simulation important? All right, the responses, please. Okay, fantastic. We have about 89 people that have engaged this. Thank you so much. I appreciate the engagement. You are also encouraging me by this. Yes, phishing simulations help to measure employees' susceptibility to phishing attacks. Do they know how to identify it, right? That urgency, that deceit. When they over on the header of the mail, do they know how to spot it? Or everything is just urgent because it has the urgency sign on the email? They just click on it, click on the link, go and fill it. Alas, it's a trap. The same way when the attacker will come, it will come in that same way. But the moral lesson is being able to identify that this is a phishing mail, avoid it, and report it. Because that is what is mainly tested from that phishing simulation. Who reported? It's not just about identifying that this is a phishing mail, let me leave it untouched. But who took that screenshot and forwarded it to IT to report that this looks malicious? I'm not sure of this. Please look into this. That is the essence of that phishing simulation. Identify, avoid, and what? Report. That is the essence of the cybersecurity awareness. Let's look at the next knowledge check. All right, on cybersecurity awareness. Let's look at the knowledge check. Please, let's have the quiz. All right. What is a common indicator of a weak security awareness? What is a common indicator of a weak security awareness? All right, let's carefully look at the options. Let's carefully look at the options and taking note of the keywords in the question. What is a common indicator of a weak security awareness? Yes, the security awareness existed, but it's not effective, right? A common indicator. All right, let's read the options together. Let's read the options together. Let's read the options together. I don't want to call specific names, but there has been some names that have not voted since morning. I see you. But please let us participate. Please let us participate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see how the vote has been. Okay, fantastic. We have about 87 people. Okay, a common indicator of weak security awareness session. Yes, high phishing click rates without remediation, which means a lot of people could not identify that it's a phishing email, right? So they did not avoid it. They even clicked on it, right? After they clicked on it, they fell for it. What did the organization do? What specialized training did they now give those that fell for it? Is it that our awareness session were not practical enough, or because different simulation scenarios should have shown different type of gimmicks that these threat actors or these hackers could have used in sending out such an email? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the participation. Let's move this forward. Now, putting all these 5 cyber controls together as we try to bring this to a close, how do we as auditor, how do we audit smarter and not harder, right? I talked about this previously. How do we put this all together? Now, the first thing is connecting these various controls, right? These cybersecurity controls with different cybersecurity frameworks. Now, for example, these 5 that we've discussed today is in alignment with the NIST cybersecurity framework and the ISO 27001. So yes, these controls that we've discussed today are key for any organization, irrespective of the value chain or the business sector where the organization plays. As far as you have an IT environment and you are putting in place cybersecurity controls. Now, how does these 5 controls align to core objectives? We have the user access management, identity and user access control. We have the MFA for authentication and account protection. We have patch management to reduce vulnerabilities. We've talked about that. The backup and recovery is to ensure business resilience and recovery, while security awareness focuses on that human risk. And we've said it times without number, humans, employees still remains the weakest link. All right, so now let's bring this home. How can we prioritize carrying out our audit, even in low resource environments? Some will tell you we are only 2 in our own internal audit department. How are we sure we are able to carry out IT audits, let alone cybersecurity control reviews? Now, we must focus on what? The criticalities of some of these controls to the business. Again, what can help us to identify what we should focus on is the likelihood of the exploitation of these various controls. Now, a lot of people say, oh, we are doing risk-based audits, but what is the detailed risk assessment before you arrive at that risk-based audit plan or that risk-based approach to identifying that specific audit engagement you need to carry out even across the entire IT landscape? Another critical factor to be looked at is the potential operational impact. If this go wrong, how does it affect the organization? What is the impact on our day-to-day business? Does it have impact on revenue? Does it have impact on customers? Who does it have impact upon? Or even if this kind of risk crystallize, do we need to report to any regulator, and how soon are we expected to report such to a regulator? These are some out of other things that can help you to prioritize which kind of cybersecurity control reviews that you are expected to carry out. All right. It's one thing to have carried out the review, right? It's another thing to report these audit findings in a way that drive action, not only from IT, but to management and the board that we are reporting to as auditors. Now, these board members, these audit committees, they may not understand a lot of these technical IT jargons. So we need to, first of all, move from, oh, the control is not in place. That is the very first thing that I have observed that a lot of auditors focus on. The control is not in place. The policy does not exist. Then we should stop testing. The control has failed. But effective reporting explains what the issue is, right? What issue have you observed? Why does this issue matter to our organization at large, but to that department that is making use of that critical system? What risk does this exception, does this gap, does this weakness create for the business as a whole? And then most importantly, the recommendation, what should management do about it? It is not just to notify them alone. What is the CIO, what is the head of IT is expected to do to close that gap? Now, I have a simple example of connecting technical issues to business risk stated here. And I use one of our critical examples that we have said. I said, for example, say MFA, multi-factor is not enabled. That is critical. You have not even written the full meaning of MFA, and you expect that head of audit committee to understand seamlessly what MFA means. But you can rephrase that. I've given an example here. Compromised credentials could allow unauthorized access to critical system and sensitive financial data. There's no one that reads this at that board level, at that executive level, that will not understand properly. So we must translate those technical weaknesses into operational, financial, compliance, and reputational risk. Because that is what this kind of risk is what is keeping board or the management awake at night. Reputational risk will keep them at night, awake at night. Compliance risk, you don't know whether they are going to sanction them with fines from the regulator. They want to avoid such. So those technical risks, you must be able, or technical weaknesses within that IT or cybersecurity environment, you must be able, as an auditor, you must be able to link it with operational, financial, and compliance and reputational risk. So I've written here few ways that you can further structure strong cyber audit findings. What could go wrong, right? What would the organization lose or suffer? You can even quantify it in counts, in dollars, in naira. You can quantify it. Root cause. Let's peel back the onions. Why does this weakness even exist? What is the process owner saying? Why does it exist? Oh, IT said, I've been telling management, they have refused to do anything. They said, even go and accept the risk. I've heard such instances. Then again, your recommendation, how practical is it? Hope your recommendation is not flying over the head of the IT person based because you have used AI to fine-tune your recommendation. Your recommendation must speak to the current practicality of the instance that you have seen. All right, I have another example here of what a weak finding can be and a strong executive ready finding. A weak finding, user accounts are not reviewed periodically. Yes, it doesn't sound technical, right? Everyone can understand what that means, right? But it's still weak. But it can be rewritten here. Let's read this together. Failure to perform periodic user access reviews increases the risk of unauthorized or excessive access remaining undetected, potentially leading to fraud. Can you see how we are linking the various risks? Data leakage or unauthorized system activity. If you are looking at this, which kind of finding, sincerely, would you prefer? Yes, the initial finding wasn't technical. It was simple, straightforward, but there's a way you couch it to make it executive ready finding that they can relate with when you link it with compliance risk, reputational risk that can affect the organization. So well-written findings increase the likelihood of faster remediation, better management engagement, improved accountability. That is very important, and more effective risk reduction. Because truly, the goal of cyber auditing is not just to report issues. Let's get this right. It's not just to report issues or the number of exceptions you are able to bring out. But the goal is to help your organization strengthen their cybersecurity resilience, help them strengthen their operational resilience as a business. That is the bottom line of that cyber auditing. Yes, we're wrapping up. Let's take some knowledge check. Let's take a knowledge check. We're wrapping up. We have about 18-20 minutes more. We will wrap up in good time so we don't take out of your time, more time for today. In low resource environments, which practically affect every audit shop now, right? Every internal audit shop, low resource requirement. You don't have enough staff to carry out that your internal audit plan. Cyber audit priorities should primarily be based on what? Let's look at the question together. And yes, let's think from you being a team lead, you being a head of internal audit, or you being the chief audit and compliance officer, as the case may be. Cyber audit priorities should primarily be based on what? All right, let's read the options. 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 We're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. Please, let's engage. Let's engage. Let's engage. Let's engage. We are doing well with time. We are doing well. We are doing well. All right. Let's look at the answers, please, so that we can wrap up. All right. We have 82 people, but we have different responses. Oh, wow. We have different responses. All right. Cyber audit priorities should primarily be based on what? Business risk and potential impacts, right? Business risk, we've said that, and the potential impact on the organization. All right, next poll, please, so that we can wrap up. Next poll, please, so that we can wrap up. Next poll, please, so that we can wrap up. What makes a cyber audit finding more impactful for management? What makes cyber audit finding more impactful for management? All right. Let's keep it coming. 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 Let's keep engaging. We're about to wrap up and open up for questions. I can see some questions here and there on the chat box. All right, we'll take them. We'll take them. We'll discuss them. We're about to open up now. We're opening up now. All right, let's reveal the answers, please. All right. Okay, thank you. This fantastic. It's 7 people. Thank you. What makes a cyber audit finding more impactful to management? Connecting the issue, yeah, to business risk and impacts. I've said it. Operational risk, business risk, compliance, operational, and then the impact to the organization. When this is linked, management themselves can see how this is affecting us, what will be the results to us in the long run. All right, thank you. Let's proceed. Okay, we have a short scenario here as we wrap up. We are going to use this scenario, this case study, to finally wrap up so that we can open up for questions. It's been a fantastic 2-hour session. We have about 15 minutes to go. Let's read this. Let's read it. I may not want to read. Let's quickly read this. It will be up for about a minute. Let's read this. Let's read it. It's a scenario of a ransomware attack. We've talked about this. It can happen to any organization. It's not just about your technical control. Your staff members still remain the weakest link. Trust me. All right, let's read together. Let's read together. All right. Even after the incident, some initial investigation revealed some certain control weaknesses. And I've tried to make sure that this particular case study mirrors our 5 cyber controls that we have discussed today. All right, let's take a look at it. Take a look at those bullet points carefully. Take a look at it. Take a look at it, one after another. All right, are we done? If you are done, let me know. Type a yes in the comment section, or let me know if you are done. If you are done, I know majority are done by now. Hope my talks is not even distracting you from reading the case study. All right. Let's keep up the energy. Thank you for those that are responding. Thank you. Yes, some people are dropping some questions. Okay, yes, we are done. Yes, we are done. Yes, we are done. Okay. Okay, let's look critically. Let's look critically at the various control weaknesses, right? A phishing mail was opened by an employee who had not participated in the quarterly cybersecurity awareness sessions, right? MFA were not enforced for remote email access. Critical systems had missing security patches. Backup systems existed, but restoration testing had not been performed recently. Excessive user privileges allowed the malware to spread rapidly across the system and the network. All right. let's take this further. Now, let's look at some control failures that were identified and see how I've linked some, just a few, to some business impact. All right? To some business impact. All right, let's look at them critically. For backup and recovery, missing backups and untested backups, which business impact, delayed or failed recovery, multi-factor authentication, weak authentication controls, unauthorized access to accounts. Again, patch management, unpatched vulnerabilities, which could be exploitation of known and new weaknesses. All right, let's move forward. Now, from an audit perspective, what are the key questions you are asking? Were critical controls properly designed and implemented? Were warning signs of vulnerabilities identified earlier? When they were identified, who is even monitoring when these new patch updates are available? Who is monitoring them within their IT? Who is tasked with that responsibility? Was management aware of this unresolved risk? Because in most times, IT will say, we've been sending mail to the management, we've been sending mail to the ED. So the real point is, if we are going to accept the risk, it must be documented that we are accepting this kind of risk, or it is way below our threshold level. Where incidents and remediation activities tracked effectively, then again, could stronger controls have reduced the impact of the attack? Now, what's the summary? Effective cyber auditing helps identify these weaknesses before they lead to significant operational weaknesses. All right. So on Monday morning, yeah, that is it. On Monday morning, what exactly can you do? I have some few points here that I'll just breeze through. Request and review for user access listing, confirm MFA enforcement across critical system, review patch and vulnerability reports. You can write them down and then verify backup and restoration testing, how you can do that. Then review security awareness and phishing reports. All right, conclusion. We are concluding now so that we can open up to questions and answer. The auditor's role is evolving. We are moving beyond traditional compliance reviews, and we are becoming proactive risk advisors. Are we together? We are becoming proactive risk advisors. That means that not only should we understand cyber threats or cyber security incidents, we must know the impact on the business. We must identify the weak controls early and provide practical insights that can strengthen organizations' resilience. So, as we wrap up this session now, to open up for questions or comments, as the case may be, what cyber risk currently exists within your organization? Yeah, this is a thought for you to take home. Is this cyber risk, is it receiving enough audit attention? So whether you are an auditor on this call or you are an IT person, this issue of cybersecurity risk is a concern of everybody, not just the security person, not just the IT person, but you as the second line or third line of defense. That cybersecurity risk, is it receiving enough audit attention? Not just audit attention, but even executive management attention. Because what IT will say in some instances, we asked to purchase a new firewall, we asked to purchase a new device. They said it's not within the budget, or we should wait till next quarter. But that attacker on the dark web is not waiting for next quarter to strike. We must be proactive, and we must truly stand our guard as using our professional skepticism as auditors. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the engagement. I now pause to open up for questions. It's been a comprehensive 2-hour session. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, I want to pause for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fernflo. Really appreciate the time and the effort that went into that. And again, appreciate all the attendees and their participation, their engagement. We have lined up a few questions. I'll try and read through them in the order they've been raised. So the first question is from Stephen Adebayo, asking, how long should a disabled account be kept before deletion from Active Directory? More so, is it advisable to delete disabled accounts?
All right. Thank you for that, Stephen Adebayo. Now, first thing, it depends on the rules that have been set on your Active Directory. Different organizations with different rules for their Active Directory. And this is why and where you need to engage your Active Directory administrator. I'm not just talking about the CIO or the head of IT. That Active Directory administrator, what kind of rules and the aging of profiles that have been set. Yes, the very first thing is to disable the account, right? But some accounts in some profiles that have been disabled for long are freezed. They call them freezed profiles because you may still need to refer to the audit trail of the activities that that particular profile has carried out. And then it is good to link this with the retention policies of your industry. So, two things to consider: the policies of aging of profiles that have been set within your organization. After it's been disabled for some say 90 days, some say 120 days, they go into freeze mode. They are still there, but it can be only be checked, especially when you want to review audit trail for any activities they've done. And also the retention policies of user profiles for your industry also must be taken into significant consideration. I won't advise for you to delete disabled accounts. We will say look comprehensively at the policies of your Active Directory as well as your retention policies for your own industry as required by your regulator. Thank you very much. Hope that gives some clarity to your questions. Let's take the next question, please.
Our next question is a raised hand from Victoria Sotunde, who has been waiting very patiently for a while. I'm going to just pass on talk permissions to her so she can ask a question directly.
Yes, you can pass to her so she can ask a question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Victoria, if you want to ask a question. If you're just able to unmute, you'll be able to ask your question. I think Victoria may have become shy, so if I move on to the next question that's come up in the Q&A from Isioma, saying Cyber UK 2026 signals a fundamental shift away from traditional MFA towards passkeys. To what extent does this make the audit controls shown in this slide obsolete, and what should replace them?
All right, thank you very much. I know this session is a collaboration between ISACA Lagos and the ISACA Scottish chapter. So we have two different zones on this particular webinar. I'll say yes, the Cyber UK Act of 2026 has moved to passkeys, right? But the point is, a lot of organizations, even in the UK, are still in the implementation phase. Yes, we could have some early adopters, no doubt, right, that are moving to the to passkeys. But the point is, for some organization, it is until sanctions by the regulator comes in place that's when full-blown implementation comes into place. What I can encourage is, yes, as we know what is requested in our own domain or in our own territories, let's ensure that we are in compliance with the requirements of the regulator that is regulating our own, not just our own industry, but our own country and our own domain as well. yes, we encourage at any point in time early adoption, right? Early adoption of any instruction from the regulator, right? We encourage organizations to adopt them early, but there must be a lot of risk assessment focusing on what is the current state of that new introduction within the organization and how step by step can migrate to the requirements of the regulator. Hope that gives some clarity to your question, Isioma. All right, we can move to the next question.
Apologies, thought got myself on mute there. The next question from Arisekola asking, what differentiates a cybersecurity audit from an IT audit? And if there's any key difference, at what point do we realize we are blurring the line?
All right. First, IT audit focuses on IT controls. That's the primary objective, to assess whether IT controls supports business operations, data integrity, reliability, and compliance. While for cybersecurity audit, it assesses whether security controls. Let's note it. When we start to peel back the onions, IT controls are significantly different from security controls. The essence of each of these security controls is to protect the information assets within your entity from any form of cyber threats. Are we together? So the scope of IT audit still remains the broad IT environment, while the cybersecurity audit focuses on specific security controls and their associated risk. Hope that gives some clarity to your question. Yes, they are not the same. One is IT environment focused, while cybersecurity focuses on key cybersecurity controls, protecting information assets from cyber threats. Thank you very much, Arishekola. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, for our next question, we have a raised hand from Tunde Baker. If I'm just going to allow them to speak. Tunde, if you want to ask your question, please.
The question, the moderator, that's Follower, actually answered a very good question for me. I was going to ask about the blur between the 2026 UK cybersecurity law that involves the use of passkeys among organizations in the UK and what's presently going on in Nigeria. And like you rightly said, more or less like just, buttressing what he said, is that we actually run two different two different regulations, one for the UK, one for Nigeria, and Follow answered in the best way I thought he should have answered it. Thank you so much. I really don't have a question. That's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Did you say you had another question as well?
No, I don't have another question. Okay.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your feedback there. Our current last question that I can see from Olodeyu Idowu, and I apologize if I mangle the pronunciation of the name there. Before disabling a privileged AD account, verify ownership, assess business impact, review recent usage, notify stakeholders, and obtain the required approvals. Where no valid business justification or accountable owner exists after the agreed remediation period, the account should be disabled, not deleted, monitored for any operational impact, and retained for potential recovery and audit purposes. And I realise that's not actually a question, that's a feedback point that's been shared there. And thank you, Olodeyu. We really appreciate you adding your expertise and thoughts there. Now, I don't think we have any other questions pending. This is the last opportunity for anyone to drop questions into the Q&A. And if we don't have anything else, I will quickly wrap up with some housekeeping. So for ISACA members, we will be excuse my word there. For ISACA members, we will be presenting your CPEs through automated upload to your My ISACA account. Now, this does rely on us having the right email address and ISACA ID for you. If you don't If you haven't logged in with your normal email address or you haven't shared your ISACA ID with us, please do let us know to newsletter at isaca-scotland.org.uk. That's newsletter at isaca-scotland.org.uk, and we'll do our best to sort you out. For non-members, you are welcome to claim CPs at your own back. I would suggest you might want to take screenshots or save your email as evidence of attendance. Otherwise, it just remains for me to say thank you very much to Finfollow. You gave a phenomenal presentation, loads of really useful content, great for beginners, great for the more experienced amongst us, and I personally feel like I've been really refreshed despite spending many years doing IT audit. For everyone else, thank you very much for your attendance. I hope you enjoyed it and do keep a lookout for future sessions. Thank you very much.